All right, everyone, welcome to Conspiracy Theory Central, where we dig into the stories that don't just make headlines, they make you question reality itself. Today's topic: the Houthi missile strike in Tel Aviv. On the surface, it's a classic case of modern warfare, but the details? Oh, they smell fishier than a week old tuna sandwich. So here's the official story. Yemen's Houthi rebels, yes, the same group that's been fighting a devastating civil war for years, somehow managed to fire a missile all the way to Tel Aviv, the heart of Israel. This wasn't some random desert, it was a bustling urban center, and the missile struck a public park. Injuries? Confirmed. Chaos? Oh, absolutely. And yet, no one seems to be asking the really juicy questions. Let's start with the logistics. How does a missile travel from Yemen to Tel Aviv? I mean, have you seen a map? Yemen isn't exactly Israel's next door neighbor. This missile didn't just take a short hop, it crossed countries, oceans, and probably a time zone or two. And yet, the Iron Dome, Israel's pride and joy, didn't intercept it. What was the Iron Dome on its lunch break? For those unfamiliar, the Iron Dome is like the be-all once of missile defense systems, legendary, flawless, and doesn't miss a beat. Or at least that's what we've been told. It's supposed to detect and neutralize incoming threats faster than you can say, oh no, not another missile. But this time, crickets. Is it just me, or does that seem odd? Now, let's talk about the Houthis. These guys have been fighting a civil war in Yemen for years. Resources are scarce, their economy is in shambles, and their weapons program, let's just say, it's not exactly on par with NASA. And yet, we're supposed to believe they built and launched a missile capable of reaching Tel Aviv? What are they doing binge-watching YouTube tutorials on advanced rocketry? But here's where it gets even weirder. This wasn't a late-night strike when the city's asleep. No, it happened during peak hours in a public park. Lots of witnesses, lots of media coverage. Almost as if someone wanted to make sure the world noticed. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I mean, it's literally the name of this channel, but that feels a little too convenient, don't you think? And then there's the timing. Israel's been under a lot of pressure lately: domestic protests, international criticism, you name it. Things are tense. And what's one way to unify a country and distract from internal issues? A good old-fashioned external threat. Suddenly, everyone's rallying around the flag, talking about security and defense instead of, oh, I don't know, the government's latest unpopular policies. Now, let's not forget the Houthis sponsors Iran. The Houths and Iran are like that one toxic couple you just can't avoid at parties. They're always stirring up drama. Iran has a long-standing grudge against Israel, and some analysts are suggesting this missile was less about Yemen and more about sending a message from Tehran. You know, like when your ex texts you through your mutual friend. But let's not stop there. What if this wasn't a straightforward attack at all? What if this was a false flag operation? For those new to the term, a false flag is when someone stages an attack to blame it on someone else. History's full of examples, from the Gulf of Tonkin to the infamous Reichstag fire. Could this be another one? Think about it. A missile hits Tel Aviv, and suddenly there's global outrage. Calls for retaliation, military funding. It's almost too perfect. Oh, and let's not ignore the media coverage. Notice how quickly the story made headlines, how every outlet seemed to have an opinion piece ready to go. It's almost like they knew it was coming. I'm not saying there's a media conspiracy, but let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if someone was slipping reporters some helpful tips. Now let's dive into the human side of this. Imagine being a resident of Tel Aviv, walking your dog in the park, maybe enjoying a coffee, when boom, missile. It's terrifying. It's heartbreaking. And it's exactly the kind of visceral reaction that gets people demanding action. Whoever orchestrated this knew exactly how to play the emotional strings. And speaking of emotional strings, let's talk about Yemen. The country is in ruins, millions are suffering from hunger and disease, and yet their government, or what's left of it, is launching missiles. What's the end game here? Are they trying to prove their strength, or are they being used as pawns in a much bigger game? Let's throw another curveball into the mix. What if this wasn't just about politics? What if it was about money? War is big business. Weapons manufacturers, defense contractors, even the media, they all profit from conflict. And a high profile missile strike like this, it's like Christmas morning for the war economy. At the end of the day, we're left with more questions than answers. Who really launched the missile? Why was the Iron Dome conveniently asleep? And most importantly, who stands to gain from all this? What do you think? Was this a straightforward act of aggression, a proxy war, or something even more sinister? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into the stories that make you say, wait, what? Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and maybe keep an eye on the sky. You never know what might be coming your way.